is a view that perhaps many people may entertain in themselves. But I said something. When we set goals and priorities are given, should there be something that is left instead of having something that is being called private? Now, if we have private money, where will we get the public money from? Then, if everything has to be clear, it has to be set, then you may not mention that this is for what, for this and this and this and this and this, but you can generalize and say, I wanted to do A, B, C, and D. Okay, you may quote a figure that may not necessarily be exact what is it. Now, what am I trying to say? Your husband or your wife will know that there is this and this and this that this person wants to do. Now, the surprises that you want to be, let them be included in that. Something that your wife or your husband is aware of, other than speaking about something that is private. Now, if we can address ourselves before, okay, like spouses, I'm addressing the spouses. If we can address ourselves before the husband or before the wife. Now, why should cash become private? Until when will this be understood that we can have private parts but private cash?
Yeah, that, by the way, it's so true. There's somebody who was asking on the spending habits. Let's bring it to spending habits.
Yes.
You find maybe some spouses they have bad habits of spending. How do I bring this conversation on the table so that we can, maybe we have our cash put together, but now what has been allocated to me for personal use, my spending habits do not, my spouse is not happy. How can I bring this conversation on the table?
All questions that pertains family must rotate alongside the axis of love. Now, what is hard according to you? Dealing with a person that you know, or entering into a relationship with a person you do not know. What is hard to handle? I think dealing with a stranger who at times will come to be my husband or my wife is a little bit complicated than dealing with a person who I'm calling my husband or my wife. I should be open to my wife. She should be open. Now, it is only perhaps the language that is used, the way of approach and introduction, the way I introduce myself. Look for an opportunity. Speak it out. Tell her, okay, well, this and this has been going on well, but there is something in your spending that is not right. You want this amount of money, but before the time given expires, then you are back, you want extra cash. Now, can you account for what you are doing? Then, if there is no accountability in what you are doing, then can you see there is a problem somewhere? Now, if she's not able to see that there is a problem, now, you should be able to help out of love and show her that this is not. I spoke about financial wisdom. Either of us, but the good thing is financial wisdom is something that, or financial management is something that can be learned and someone can enjoy having it. You may not, for example, right now, you may not, as you enter into marriage, you may not be so well in financial management. But as you continue to grow, you understand your expenditures, your dealings with cash, then you are in a better position to gain the financial wisdom. Now, should you understand that there is somewhere that I'm making mistakes in mismanagement my cash, then be open. Be ready to be corrected. When your wife tells you that this one, I don't think this is right, it is always good to reflect and think, now, what has been said? Now, is there any relationship? Now, if perhaps her perspective is wrong, then you also have the ground to explain to her that this and this is what happened. Most of the times we men shy back and are not ready to speak out. Perhaps there may be something extra that cropped up. Now you are calling them private, that I did not want to communicate to my wife. Sure. That is what has eaten up the cash that I had. So, but should I be open to my wife and such a thing has happened? When I'm going back, or my husband, when I'm going back that this has happened and I want you to help me with some more cash, the cash may be there Perhaps we may say, no, we are not going to add you. You want 5,000, we will give you 2,000. You have already used the allotment that was for you. Now we will not add another, we just give you 2,000. If that 2,000 is not enough, then until another financial budget, the next month, then that is when we give you a different allocation.
Okay.
Yes.
We get you, Pastor. Now, I want to sample some of your questions that you sent, and thank you for sending. Keep on sending your questions, and we'll ask Pastor as they come. Somebody is asking, we have been keeping secret accounts, separate accounts since we wedded, but recently my finances have gone down due to this pandemic. But since she still insists I pay bills as usual, how can I start this conversation with her without resulting into a conflict or in a fight?
That question relates with what we had earlier. I said about before and after. Before you enter into a relationship, now that has materialized to a marriage, it is a little bit difficult. But now that you are in a relationship, the person you are living with, by this time you understand the person you have, the person you have been living with. You understand the right time to expose matters that may at times be somehow serious and critical, the environment that you should expose such matters, and the language that you should use to bring out the news. Because these are news, they are news to her, because they are private. Now, first of all, you should be ready for any eventuality that may come up. She may be angry at you, because what happens?
You've never told me this.
For all this period of time, you want to tell me. Now, if this is the time that you're exposing this to me, should there be other things that I'm not aware of?
Sure.
So you should be ready for any eventualities. But all in all, you should also be in a position to express yourself, and also, if it reaches a point whereby you have to say sorry, the ego and the pride in men at that moment should be swallowed for the sake of peace and continuation of the marriage.
Amen. Somebody is asking again, my spouse does not want to combine finances, even after advice from the pastor. And I'm already straining, yet she keeps on saying she has no money, but goes to work daily. She doesn't want us to combine our finances, even after the advice from the pastor.
Then I see an underlying problem.
She goes to work daily and says she has no money.
What is the use of you waking up in the morning and going to work only to say that you do not have money? Now, why do we work?
The money is committed.
Yeah, why do committed to what? If the money that we are earning is not for our build-up, then anything that is not for us should be understood it is against us. Whether they are the family or extended members, anything that is not for this family is against. And should they continue neglecting the advice of the pastor, then they should be ready for a disaster.
So anything that is not for this marriage is
against this marriage.
Exactly. So this work should be for the marriage.
This work.
Yeah.
Now, what is the use? Waking up every morning, and what you earn cannot satisfy your needs. What is the use in the first place? Where will you get the morale? Now, if we can be motivated at our workplace, and we don't want a similar motivation to be in our marriages, then what will spice up our marriages? Nothing. Now, if that thing is not spicing up the marriage, then it is adding. If value cannot be added by what we are doing, then we should wake up one morning and say, that door is closed. You'd rather start now other than continue with that path, because the end of that path may bring a different thing.
Yes, somebody is asking, Pastor, if I marry someone with debts, Does this mean the debts become mine automatically?
I like giving illustrations, vivid illustrations that we cannot learn away from, because many times we like to learn away from the facts and the truths that we cannot. If, for example, today I got married to a person who has any form of disability, because debt is like a form of disability, because immediately you enter into that marriage, you enter with those debts. You enter with those, and they will affect that marriage.
Sure.
That is why it is very, very important as we enter into marriage, we be open one to another, so that as we enter into that marriage, we know that this is what is following you, this is who I am, and this is what my position is like this. Because you may marry someone who is also taking care of kids back at home. So if there are debts, those debts automatically comes a part of that marriage. What do I say? For example, like if I marry someone, for example, who does not have one finger, by the fact that I've married her does not make that finger will grow. I must be ready to live with her without that one finger.
Yeah, sure.
Why? Because that is something that person had even before. Now, the debt was there before marriage. Now, and when you accept someone, you accept that person with the entirety of what she entails. The debts, the beauty, and the temper.
Yeah, that's true. All right, thank you very much, Pastor. Let me just read this one question. We are out of time, but just one. Should a couple have a joint or separate accounts? And as he's saying, separate checking accounts.
In the days that you are living in, when trust has come out of many marriages, many people may side for either different or a checking account. It depends. For the sake of salvaging a certain marriage somewhere, it may depend. I said about perspective. What is money to me? And unless these two people be of the same view that this is money and this money should be used this way, different entities or different accounts may crop up. But remember what I said, that if anything is not for this family, is against this family. If I were to be asked, I would prefer one account where all the cash are. That is one account. We can have different accounts, but these accounts are well known to each and every one of us. For example, I may be in business. We have a business account, but we also have a saving account. Now, the fact that we have two, perhaps the business account may be in my name, but the saving account is in the wife's name. These are two different accounts, but what is happening in the business account is well known to their wife who is in the savings account. The fact that we have two different accounts does not mean that the secrets are not known. There is no secret in between. But if anything about marriage be a secret, the underlying issue is anything that is permitted to touch the foundation has the power to break that.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. That is a very good place closing this conversation. Thank you, Pastor, for joining us. And I think we will also meet next time. Try catch up with us next time, and we are going to make this conversation go to the next level. So there's somebody who was also asking about financial infidelity, and we are going to talk about that in our next topic as we have Pastor with us. So join us next week again as we have the same conversation, and may God bless you so much for being with us. Thank you, Pastor, for taking your time and joining us. May God bless you so much, and see you again next week. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you.